Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, once again we are taking some problems from previous year papers of CAT, Bank Probationary Officers and other exams. And I'm sure you might have gone through the basic sessions before coming to this session. So let's begin to take the first problem. Let's try this problem. If A, B, C, D are four positive real numbers with A plus B plus C plus D is equal to 1, then the maximum value of AB plus BC plus CD plus DA will be. Okay. So friends, you must be aware of AMGM property, that is arithmetic mean and geometric mean property. Arithmetic mean and geometric mean property is if we have positive real numbers, that means suppose A, B, C, D, so their geometric mean will always be less than equal to their arithmetic mean, which I write over here. Arithmetic mean of positive real number will always be greater than their geometric mean. That is very important property, and good number of questions based on this property are coming for so many years in various examinations. Okay, so arithmetic mean of positive real numbers will be greater than their geometric mean. Suppose I have two numbers, say A and B. So their arithmetic mean will be A plus B by 2, and definitely it will be greater than their geometric mean, that is root AB. Okay. So it's greater than equal to. When it will be equal? When A and B both of them are same. That is if A is equal to B, then it is A plus A by 2 and it is A square. So it's A and it's A. Since we are taking A and B both as positive real number, that means square root of A square will be A only, not minus A. So what is the maximum value this can achieve? Geometric mean will be equal to arithmetic mean only if the numbers are same. As in case when A and B both of them are same, then arithmetic mean has become equal to geometric mean. So the same property we are going to use over here. First of all, I take this expression. It's AB plus BC plus CD plus DA. I take this two together and this two together. So it's A, B plus D plus C, B plus D. That means it is A plus C, B plus D. Now I have two expressions, that is A plus C and B plus D. I take both of them as an individual. Okay. Now arithmetic mean of these two expressions, that is A plus C plus B plus D by 2. That is this plus this by 2. Arithmetic mean of these two will be greater than their geometric mean. And what will be geometric mean of two datas? That is square root of product of both the datas. Okay, so A plus C plus B plus D by 2 will be greater than equal to A plus C into B plus D square root. Okay, now the value of this is AB plus BC plus CD plus DA, as we have seen, square root, and it's A plus C plus B plus D, that is actually 1. So it's this expression's square root is less than equal to 1 by 2. That means if we remove the square root, it will be less than 1 by 4. Suppose this expression is x, so it's less than equal to 1 by 4. So the maximum value when what it can achieve is 1 by 4 because it is less than equal to 1 by 4. Okay, so maximum value will be 1 by 4. A very simple concept but very important. Okay, and be very careful that this property, that arithmetic mean of any numbers is greater than their geometric mean, is applicable only when the numbers are positive. Okay, doesn't matter whether they are natural numbers or integers or real numbers, but they have to be positive. Now let's see this question. Three bells begin to tolling at the same time and continue to toll at intervals of 21, 28, 30 seconds respectively. The bells will toll together again after what duration, that we have to find out. Now, the first bell is ringing after every 21 minutes, that is 21, 42, 63. Okay. And the second is after every 28 seconds. So that is 28, 56, 84. Okay. And the third one is after every 30 seconds. So 30, 60, 90. Okay. So when we are having a common data over here, that should be the multiple of 21 also, that should be multiple of 28 also, and that should be multiple of 30 also. Then all the three bells will ring together. Okay. Now what is the smallest number that is multiple of 21, 28 and 30 all as well? And that will be their LCM, that is lowest common multiple. So in all, what we have to do, we have to find out the LCM of 21, 28 and 30. Okay. Now you have two options. Either you manually find out their LCM or you just go by options. See, we need to find out LCM. So this is not applicable. Even this is not applicable. Now we are left with these two choices. Now we have the smaller number as 420. Let's see whether 420 is divisible by all of them or not. If it is divisible by, then we can discard this option easily, because in that case this will only be LCM. Okay, so 420 is definitely multiple of 21. 420 is multiple of 28 also, and 420 is multiple of 30 also. So definitely it should be the LCM of these three datas. So no need to find out the LCM of these datas manually if you look at the options. If options are not permitting you to do it the sum with backward approach, then you can find out. Okay, in this case it's not required. I hope you are clear. So 420 seconds is the correct answer. After 420 seconds, all the bells will ring together. Now, this is a property of prime numbers. If a natural number is divisible by only three distinct numbers, it is a square of any number, square of prime number, prime, or none of these. Okay, so it's a property, and first of all, let's discuss how it is happening. Okay, we know about prime numbers. Prime numbers have only two factors, that is number one and the number itself. Okay, and we are asked about three distinct factors. So it cannot be the right choice. Now let's see square of any number. Suppose I have a square of any number, say 16. I take the example of 16 and 9 both as well. 16, the factors will be 1, 2, 4, 8 and 16. So we have 5 factors. So even it cannot be the right choice. Now let's see 9. It's 1, 3 and 9. We have 3 factors. Now what is the difference between 16 and 9? 16 is the square of 4 and 9 is the square of 3. And what is the difference between 3 and 4? 3 is a prime number, but 4 is not. Now we can draw a conclusion that the square of prime numbers have only 3 factors. Now we can cross verify it by taking other choice also. Suppose I take number 49. So we have only 3 factors, because 7 square is 49, and 49 has 3 factors. That means square of a prime numbers have only 3 factors and all of them are distinct. Okay, so though it is a property, but somehow if you are not aware of this, so you can do it like this also. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now we have a question on geometry. ABCD is a rectangle. The area of isosceles triangle ABE is 10 square units. If ED is equal to 2AE, what is the area of BCDE? Now, since this triangle is an isosceles triangle, we can assume the lengths to be same. So AE is X and AB is also X. Okay. Now, if AE is X, so it will be 2x. Okay, since ED is twice of AE, so it will be 2x. Now, the area of isosceles triangle is given to us, and what is the area of this triangle? It is half base into altitude, that is half x square is equal to 10. That means x is square is equal to 20. Okay, now we have to find out the area of this particular portion. First of all, let's try to find out the area of this rectangle. It's this into this, that is 3x into x, that is 3x square. So it is 3 into 20 is equal to 60. Now, if we deduct area of this triangle from this rectangle, we will be getting the area of this particular portion, which is trapezium. Okay, so we are having the area of the rectangle, that is 60, and we are having the area of the triangle, that is 10. So 50 is the area of 50 square units is the area of this particular portion which we are asked. I hope you are clear. Now, this is a good question with us. The difference between a number with more than one digit and its reverse is always divisible by. Friends, the answer is very simple, that the answer is 9, but I would like to discuss something over here which will be useful to solve more problems. See, any two-digit number, suppose it is in the format of xy. It's any two-digit number, that is xy, can be written as 10x well plus y if we present it into a number. Say, suppose I take 45, so it will be 4 into 10 plus 5. Okay. So similarly, it can be written as 10x plus y. If we reverse the digit, that is yx, so it will be written as 10y plus x, as in over here it's 5 into 10 plus 4. Okay, now the difference between these two numbers, these two, this is a digital representation only, so we have to find out the difference between these two. So 10x plus y minus 10y plus x is 10x minus x is 9x. It's 9x minus y. Okay, so difference between a number and its reverse is always divisible by 9. We have seen 9 over here. It's always 9 will be there. Okay, so it's pretty true. And you can see that if you divide this difference by 9, suppose I divide this expression by 9, I get the difference between the digits. That is very important property. Okay. So suppose I take an example. Maybe I have 63 and 36. Difference between these two will always be divisible by 9. Okay. And if I divide this difference by 9, I'll be getting the difference between the digits. So what is the difference between these two? 63 minus 36 is 27. If I divide 27 by 9, I'll be getting 3, which is the difference between these two digits. Okay, so this is very important property that we have to keep in our mind. So here we are talking about a two-digit number. Similarly, we can talk about three-digit number also. Just take one example so the concept will be cleared in your mind once for all. Suppose I have a three-digit number x, y, z, and its reverse number is z, y, x. So it will be written as 100x plus 10y plus z, and it will be written as 100z plus 10y plus x. As in a number, suppose 125, it's 100 plus 20 plus 5. Okay, so it's 100 digit, it's 10 tens digit, and it's unit digit. Okay, now difference between these two, that is a three-digit number and its reverse, is 100x minus x, that is 99x. Z minus 100z will be minus 99z, and 10y will get cancelled. So it's 99x minus z. That means a three-digit number and its reverse, their difference is always divisible by 99, or we can say that difference is always a multiple of 99. And if we divide that difference by 99, we get the difference between extreme digits, that is these digits. Okay, you can take any example. Suppose you have 495, and if you reverse it, it will be 595. 4, it is 99 difference, and if you divide this difference by 99, you get the difference between the extreme digits. That is 1 in this case. Okay, so this is further important property which will be helpful for you to solve the problems of maybe this category. One more thing I would like to mention over here. Here we have taken the difference. If you take the addition, that is sum of the digits, it's yx, it's 10x plus y, it is 10y plus x. If you add them, in previous case we get the difference, in this case we are going to add them. So it's 11x plus 11y, that is x plus y. That means what is happening over here? The sum of a two-digit number and its reverse is always a multiple of 11, or we can say it's always divisible by 11. And if you divide that particular sum by 11, you get the sum of the digits. Okay. Suppose I have a number, maybe 53, and its reverse number 35. So it's 88. So it's always multiple of 11, and if you divide it by 11 you get the sum of digits. Okay, so these are the properties of numbers that we should be cleared with. Now this question can be done mentally, not no paperwork is required. 4 liters of a mixture of alcohol and water is at 50% strength. It is added to 1 liter of water. The alcohol strength is. Now it's very simple. Since we are having 4 liters with 50% strength, that means we are having 2 liters of alcohol in 4 liters. Now we are having in all the mixture of 5 liters, and out of that 5 liters we are having 2 liters of alcohol. So 2 part of alcohol in 5 liters, so that will be 40%. No paperwork is required at all. I hope you are getting me. How many natural numbers n are there such that n factorial ends with exactly 5 zeros? Friends, this sort of problems we have discussed in our number system sessions. I must advise you that do attend these sessions before coming to this particular session, because you'll be conceptually clear if you attend those sessions. Okay, so let's try. How many natural numbers n are there such that n factorial ends with exactly 5 zeros. Now friends, how do we get a 0? We get a 0 from 2 and 5 combination. Now if you are having one combination, we'll be getting 1 0. If you are having two combination, we'll be getting 2 zeros. If you are having three combinations of 2 and 5, we'll be getting 3 zeros, right? So basically we have to find out that how do I get 5, 2 and 5 combinations. Okay, now n factorial is what? That's clear to you. 1 into 2 into 3 till n, that is multiplication of numbers from 1 to n. Now I have to find out the value of n. Suppose n factorial is 5 factorial. That means n is suppose 5. Just discussing the concept. Suppose n is 5. Then how many 5s will be there in 5 factorial? You can divide it by this 5 by 5. There will be only 1 5 till 5 factorial. Suppose you wish to calculate how many 5s will be there in 10 factorial. So what you can do is 10 by 5. There will be 2 5s till 10 factorial. Now we have to see the combinations of 2 and 5. So in 10 factorial, suppose I talk about, we will be having uh, 2 5s and a good number of 2s. But we are interested in combinations. So definitely number of 2s will be greater than number of 5s, but we are interested in combinations. So we can calculate number of 5s only. Okay, because number of 2s are definitely extra and we want only uh, those many 2s with the numbers of 5s. Okay, so suppose I wish to calculate how many zeros are there at the end of 10 factorial. What I can do is I will find 2 and 5 combinations. Now 2s are more, so just check how many 5s are there that we have calculated over here. 2 5s are there. So if you expand 10 factorial, you will be getting 2 zeros at the end. Okay, that means there are 2 2 and 5 combinations. Okay, now let's come to this particular problem. So I want exactly 5 0. That means I want 5, 2 and 5 combinations. Okay, now definitely 2's will be more than 5's. So let's calculate only 5's. Now suppose I have 20 factorial. Okay, so in 20 factorial, how many 5's will be there? You just divide 20 by 5. That's 4. Now 4 is less than 5, so we cannot get more quotient over here. So there will be 4 5's in 20 factorial. 4 5's in 20 factorial. But we want 5 5's. So let's take 25 by 5 or maybe 24 by 5. So still we'll be getting 4 only. That means 4 5's in 24 factorial, but we want 5. So let's take 25 factorial. So 25 by 5 will be getting 5, and this further 5 will divide this 5 and will be getting one more 5. So it's 5 by 5, that is 1. So in all, in 25 factorial, there will be 6 5's, not 5 5's. Getting my point? So in 24 factorial, we are getting 4 5's. In 25 factorials, we are getting 6 5's. So we are actually not getting 5 5's by any means. Okay. So we cannot have any number whose factorial will end in exactly 5 zeros. Okay. In 24 factorial, there will be 4 zeros. In 25 factorial, there will be 6 zeros. So no number is there. So it's 0. I hope you are clear. Now let's discuss this problem from number system. The last digit in 25x raised to 32 and 25x raised to 33 both is 6. What is the missing digit? That means we have to find out the value of x. Okay. Now we have discussed this sort of problems in our number system sessions. I would advise you to attend those sessions before coming to these particular sessions. So friends, we can definitely eliminate 5 because 5, if it is raised to any power, it will definitely end in 5. Now we are left with these three numbers. Okay. Now 6, if it is raised to any power, it will end in 6 only. Okay. Whether it is even or whether it is odd, whether any power. So 6 is the most obvious choice. Okay. Now let's come to 4 and 8. Now 4 raised to 1 will end in 4. 4 raised to n square, that means raised to 2 will end in 6. 4 raised to 3 will end in further 4. 4 raised to 4 will end in 6. So if 4 is having odd power, then it will end in 4. And if 4 is having even power, then it will end in 6. Okay, so here we are having here even power and here odd power. Okay, so 4 cannot be x, or I can say x cannot be 4, because in this case, if x is 4, then the unit digit will be 6, and in this case, if x is 4, the unit digit will be 4. Okay, so it cannot be the right choice. Obviously, we have found out that 6 is the correct answer, but how to eliminate the others for better clarity of concept, I'm just discussing it. Now 8. 8 raised to 1 is 8. 8 square ends in 6. 8 cube ends in 6 into 8. I'm sorry, 8 square ends in 4. Then 4 into 8, the 32. The unit digit is 2. And 8 raised to 4, that ends in 2 8s are 16. That is, I'm just calculating the unit digit over here. The preliminary digits I'm not calculating. So 2 8s are 16. So 8 raised to 4 will end in 6. But here 32 is there and 33 is there. So if x is 8, we cannot get continuously, like 32 and 33, both of them are continuous numbers. So we cannot get the 6 at the units place that we are seeing over here, because 8 raised to 5 further it will end in 8. Okay, so I hope you are clear why we have made 6 as obvious choice, because 6 raised to anything will end in 6. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's discuss this problem. I think it's quite easy problem. No paperwork is required at all. A father is 8 years older than the mother, and mother's age is now 2.5 times the daughter's age. If the daughter is 12 years old now, what was the father's age when the daughter was born? Very, very simple problem. Okay, if the daughter's age is 12 years, then mother's age is 2.5 times. That means it is 12 twos are 24 plus 6, 30 years. Now mother is 30 years. That means father is 38 years. Now father is 38 years as of now. That means before 12 years. That means at the time of the birth of the daughter, 38 minus 12, he must be 26 years. Okay, in less than 30 seconds, you can solve this problem. Now let's try this problem. In a certain boys camp, 20% of the boys are from Maharashtra state and 30% of those are from Mumbai city. If there are 49 boys in the camp who are from Maharashtra state but not from Mumbai city, what is the total number of boys in the camp? Now friends, if you look at the options, there is no need to solve this problem. You can do it like just uh, without paper pen, or just a common sense is required over here. Okay, now 20% of the boys are from Maharashtra state, right? That means in all the total number of boys will be 5 times of the boys from the Maharashtra state, isn't it? Now here we are able to, we can see that 49 boys are from Maharashtra state but not from Mumbai. That means from Maharashtra state more than 49 boys are there. Okay, more than 49. Why? Because we are not including the students from the Mumbai city in this calculation. Okay, so definitely the students from Maharashtra are more than 49. That means the total number of participants will be more than 5 times the number of students from Maharashtra, isn't it? So if we make 49 into 5, then also we get 245. So definitely if we include the students of Mumbai also, that the total will definitely cross 245, and we are having a single option more than 245, that is 350. Okay, so it's very obvious choice. No need to go for any paperwork. Just have to apply bit sense. Okay, now suppose if you cannot think on these lines, so we can calculate it manually also. Let's try. How do we do that? Suppose we have 100 students in all. Okay, now out of these 120 are from Maharashtra. Okay, now from these 20, 30% are from Mumbai city. That means 70% are non-Mumbaians. So 20 into 70% is 14 non-Mumbai. Now 14 is given to us as 49. So if 14 is equivalent to 49, 100 is equivalent to what? That we have to find out. So it's 49 by 14 into 100. So it's 350. So you can go either way. I hope you are clear. Now let's try this problem. In the figure below is given a circle circumscribing a square of side 8 units. What is the area of the circle? Friends, very simple problem. Suppose I assume this square to be P, Q, R, S, and it is the center. Now this length is given to us as 8, and we have to find out, I can say suppose this is O, we have to find out OR. Okay, that is radius. So if we match P and R, that will be diagonal of this square. Okay. Now this is the intersecting point of both the diagonals, and diagonals of a square intersect each other at 90 degree. Okay. Now this length and this length, both of them will be same, and definitely these lengths will be radius of the circle. So I assume it to be X. Okay, now this is a right angle triangle. Here this is perpendicular, this is base, and this is hypotenuse. So we can use Pythagoras theorem. So x square plus x square is 8 square, that is 64. 2x square is 32, I'm sorry, 64. So x square is 32. Okay, so it's 4 root 2. X square, x will be 4 root 2. That means this length is 4 root 2. Or I can say the radius of the circle is 4 root 2. Now what is the area of the circle? That is pi r square. Or I can say pi x square. So x square is what? 32. So the area of the circle will be 32 pi. I hope you are clear. Now this is a problem based on permutation and combination. A person wishes to make up as many different parties as he can out of 20 friends, each party consisting of the same number of members. How many should he invite at a time if he has to invite more than two for a party? Now you might have heard about NCR, that is the combination of R people out of N people. Okay, so we have to maximize the value of this NCR. Okay, now maximum value of NCR is achieved when R is equal to N by 2. That is this. Okay, now what is happening over here? Here we are having 20 persons. That means N is equal to 20, and we have to make up different combinations of the people. So we have to select our people for from this 20 people, and we have to maximize this value. So definitely R has to be half of that, that is half of 20, that is 10. So maximum number of parties can be arranged as 20C10. That means he can invite 10 people at a time if he wishes to make a maximum number of parties. Okay, so this is an important concept, and that NCR is having maximum value when R is equal to N by 2, provided N is even. If N is odd, then it will be N minus 1, that means N minus 1 by 2 or N plus 1 by 2. Okay, so in this case, R should be that 10, that means 10 people should be invited once. Friends, I hope you might have enjoyed this session. We have discussed so many topics and so many problems. We will be taking more problems in our next session. So do revise this session and definitely the basic sessions which we have done earlier. Bye-bye.